We now want to turn to Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So you have been making this big push for this CHIPS bill that would direct about $50 billion towards the semiconductor industry. Those are those computer chips and phones and dishwashers,
and
weapons, and basically everything. Yeah. The bill now also has about $200 billion in additional spending, which I understand you would play a role in helping to dole out in some way. For people at home, why should U.S. taxpayers subsidize a profitable industry?
Right now, we are dangerously dependent on other countries, mostly in Asia, for our supply of semiconductors. We don't make any leading-edge semiconductors in the United States. And those are the sophisticated chips that you need for military equipment and high-end computing. We buy almost all of them from Taiwan. So the reality is we need companies to expand in America, and other countries all around the world are providing incentives.
But doesn't rolling out state subsidies of private industry create a dangerous precedent? Or are you arguing we're just in a scenario where we need to start thinking of vital industries as partially state-funded or subsidized?
Yeah. What I'm saying is this is a matter of national security, and I don't think we can put a price tag on it because we are in a very vulnerable spot. So if you talk to the military experts or the national defense contractors, you know, they'll tell you they need chips. There's 250 chips in a Javelin launching system, and that's not as sophisticated as some of the new equipment.
There's a long list of things Congress needs to get done in a very short period of time. Are you confident that the votes are actually there to get this passed?
Yes, I am.
16 Republicans voted to move along with this, but this is still not done, and it's being tweaked here. So I want to ask you about some of the things that have been proposed. You have skeptics on both the right and the left for this, right? Bernie Sanders has said he doesn't like it. It's a blank check to profitable companies. Rick Scott of Florida, Republican, has compared it to corporate welfare. A former labor secretary from the Clinton administration called it pure extortion. That doesn't sound like this is truly bipartisan, as you called it. This sounds like this is fairly controversial.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's clearly bipartisan. You don't get 64 votes in the Senate every day, right?
But on this final bill, you think, despite these detractors,
this will be a big bipartisan vote in the House and the Senate. Yes, I believe so. Now, also, I fully dispute Senator Sanders' characterization of this. It isn't a blank check. There are many strings attached. Strings attached, companies can't use this money to build facilities in other countries. Companies who accept this money can't then turn around and be building facilities in China for leading edge technology. There's a lot of strings attached around you know, the quality of jobs that have to be created, working with small contractors and minority-owned contractors. There are labor protections. So to say it's a blank check is just dead wrong.
Are those sufficient, though? Because you have Marco Rubio of Florida coming out and arguing high-tech chip production should be further sort of restricted here on the national security portion. He says that corporations that receive the funding cannot expand chip production in China, but there are some things grandfathered in that are loopholes here. I mean, are there other places you need to tighten up stricter export restrictions, for example?
Yeah. We always have to be looking at our export controls. So I would say I feel very comfortable about this bill. It protects national security and protects taxpayers. As written, there are taxpayer protections. It'll be a competitive, transparent process, and there's clawback provisions. If we give the money to companies and they do what they're not supposed to, we're going to take the money back. I feel very confident around the taxpayer protections and the China guardrails.
For other industries as well?
Absolutely. For all technology, we have to do everything we can to make sure that our leading-edge technology, whether it's in chips or artificial intelligence or other areas, can't get into the hands of the Chinese.
So you're open to further export restrictions?
Yes.
On Taiwan, because, you know, embedded in this is the assumption that Taiwan is at risk, potentially of annexation by China. How confident are you when you get briefed by U.S. intelligence that this is an immediate threat?
I feel confident in saying it's not immediate, and I feel also confident in saying that there's no crystal ball, but we need to be prepared. That's our job, to protect the American people.
Has inflation peaked?
I think probably. But look, if I had said that a year ago, you know, assuming another war doesn't break out, assuming we don't have another COVID, you know, there's so much out of our control. Inflation is a global problem.
I want to ask you as well about climate. NOAA is under your purview. The climate agenda for the administration is completely stalled. Is the fact that you've been unable to unstick that climate agenda, but you've moved this far with chips, does it signal to you that you need to make private industry a partner in this?
I would say yes, but much of business is on board. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Climate-related events are more frequent, more dangerous, and more expensive than they've ever been. So do we need to do more to get business on board? Maybe. And it's, you know, something we are always wondering, how do we get things done in this divided political environment? But make no mistake about it, the climate investments that the president proposed are good for the economy and good for business. And business knows that.
Madam Secretary, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us today.